Hey everyone, it's Stephanie from Stephanie Reviews, and I'm here bringing you a Coffee with Conti. Now today, what I'm going to be talking about, and it's not just I, might I add, I have here also my friend Jordan from AfterEndMedia, who I recently did a video with. I did a coffee and Criterions with him talking about On the Waterfront. I will link that below. You should totally check that out. But anywho, him and I are going to be talking about our top 3 Criterions that we saw in 2016. So without further ado, let's begin. And I barely have anything of it left now, but how appropriate of me to actually bring coffee onto a Coffee with Conti. I almost said Conti and Criterions. A Coffee with Conti. How appropriate. Finally, that's my first time drinking coffee. So let's just readjust this. And let's begin. So, quick disclaimer though. 2 of the movies I will be mentioning, I do not have the physical copy of. I did see them. They are definitely Criterions, but I saw them when they were, I saw them on Hulu when the Criterion Collection still had their partnership with Hulu. Hulu. So anyway, let's begin. So the first film I have is The Leopard by Luchino Visconti. Luchino Visconti, one of my, well, I would have to say, yeah, I'm gonna say it, my favorite Italian director. Yeah. A lot of people think, Federico Fellini, hey, I'm going to be different. I'm going to say Luchino Visconti. What makes this film great? It is long. It is a little bit slow. But what makes it is, boo. Do you see all that beautiful? The beautiful set design, the beautiful costumes, the amount of effort put into making a film like this is just, it's awesome. It's awesome. And another reason why I like it is, the acting's good, but really, it's everything about this film. It's such eye candy. It is so captivating to watch. And I love, Burt Lancaster was great in it. Alain Delon, one of my all-time favorite actors, killed the role. And I also really like Claudia Cardinale. She did fantastic as well. But really what makes the movie is the directing and the sets and the production design. It is so gorgeous. They didn't just use sets. They used actual mansions and villas and, sets and towns and everything within Italy. And I just love it when, movies like that will take, I can't imagine how long it took to shoot this film, but when they actually take a lot of time to put so much effort into its historical accuracy. And it's just such a great film. And one of the things I like about it is that with this particular Criterion, not only do you have the Italian version, where all the actors speak Italian, but you also have the English version, where everyone speaks English. And I can't imagine, being on a movie set, and the director's like, okay, shoot in Italian. So everyone says their dialogue in Italian, blah, 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 scene's over with. And it's like, okay, now take it from the top, but in English. And that must be so hard to do, especially, and I do not know if Burt Lancaster had to learn Italian for the movie or if he was fluent in it already, but I do know that in some scenes, Alain Delon is actually performing a voiceover just because when he was, enunciated while filming or enunciating certain words, he had a hard time pronouncing it. So I can't imagine how hard it must have been for all the other extras and, all the other minor characters to do that. So overall, really beautiful film. I believe Martin Scorsese claims that this is one of his favorite movies, if you didn't know. So really, I would check it out. Really beautifully well done. It is a very diverse plot. It's very long. It doesn't just take over, it's not just like, oh, one goal. It's very big. So I will be doing a review on this soon. I'm going to definitely rewatch it because it has been, a little bit since I have watched it. But I will hopefully be doing a review on it soon. But like I said, the only thing about this film is it is 185 minutes long. So I still highly recommend it. Second movie. I need a sip of my coffee. I'm drinking my first time having it, vanilla cream cold brew. Just in case anyone was wondering. Second video. So, second movie. The second movie I'm going to talk about is Eraserhead. I am such a big fan of David Lynch. I fell in love with Twin Peaks. So then I watched The Elephant Man, fell in love with that. Then I took it a step further, and I watched Eraserhead, and I fell in love with that too. So, Eraserhead. Bizarre. Bizarre as heck. But it is so good. I really like movies like Eraserhead because it does leave your opinion. Like there's no right or wrong way to view it, and I really like that. I really like films that kind of state just from the beginning, like, keep an open mind. Whatever you see here is your own interpretation, and any interpretation is correct. And even, I believe, David Lynch himself, the director, does not talk about the film and what he means, like his meaning about it, because what he wants is for everyone to have its own meaning to them, and I think that is beautiful. Now, I love all the kooky characters. I would have to say my favorite one is not the cloud lady, but the lady who lives in the lady who lives in the radiator. And I loved her little bit when she's just singing. I just found that so captivating and so bizarre. But another, like with the Leopard, it's not so much lengthy, but there is a lot of absence of dialogue, so it can feel a lot longer than what it really is. But if you have an open mind, if you're down to see a film like you've never seen before, I would highly recommend Eraserhead. And finally, the last film. When you thought me mentioning Eraserhead, it couldn't get more bizarre, well, here it is. Third favorite is House. Yes, that weird, bizarre 1960s/1970s Japanese horror flick. It is great. If I could compare it, because I definitely think out of all of the films I've mentioned, I think it's the least known. So if I could compare it to any other film, it vaguely, because of the plot, definitely a lot of plot similarities, it does remind me of the movie Monster House, the animation film that came out a few years back. But of course, this is like on a whole new level of bizarre. And I really, really love House because it is definitely unique. It was my first Japanese film. And if you're going to start with any other Japanese, people would say, oh, Akira Kurosawa, you got to watch Seven Samurai, and I went with House. And I'm glad I did, because that honestly is one of my favorite horror flicks. If you like cult classic type of films, like cult classic horror, like stuff like odd stuff like Reanimator, stuff like Eraserhead 2, I think you'd really enjoy House. Now, there is subtitles, just saying. But it's so bizarre that if I were compared to Eraserhead, I would say it's definitely a little bit more bizarre than Eraserhead. Just because Eraserhead is bizarre, and I'm going to describe this oddly, it's bizarre from a distance. So you could see it and you're like, oh, this is weird. And you just, you see it happen, it's like, okay, because the directing is kind of, like I said, it does it at a distance. Not that means... yeah, hopefully you're understanding what I'm trying to say. Whereas House, when stuff starts getting crazy, it is bam, in your face. Here's the bizarreness right here, body limbs flying all over the place, a cat with glowing eyes just zooming up to the screen, a lot of different primary colors, like in the background, like just flashing rapidly. It definitely is bizarre, but it is so innovative and so interesting that I think it is totally worth watching. And it doesn't have, like, the most sophisticated plot or anything like that, but just the directing is so great. It's one of my favorite horror films, and I highly recommend it. So that was my little tidbit of my top 3 Criterions for 2016 that I saw. Now I will hand things over to my friend, AfterEndMedia, the great Jordan. Take it away, Jordan.
Thank you very much for having me on here, Stephanie. I truly appreciate it. You are fantastic. Now, today, I am here to talk about 3 films that I truly enjoyed watching over the last year of 2016. There are some really interesting, thought-provoking things here on my list. Out of everything that I watched, these are the ones that definitely left some impacts on me. Let's go with number 3. That is Mulholland Drive. Why did I pick this when I could have picked Eraserhead or more out there films? Well, this film is not only provocative, it's thought-provoking. It's a very interesting set up timeline that you're not gonna get most likely the first time, maybe not even the second time viewing. And the fun about this is going online and hearing the theories and connecting the dots and being a part of the story, seeing the contrast between the characters. It is incredible. It is a fun time, and this film has some shocking moments that I truly love. David Lynch is one of those directors that doesn't make a film for the sake of making a film. He makes art hidden between the lines. So whatever is set up in a shot is meant to look that way for a reason. So if you've not seen Mulholland Drive for any reason, this is definitely one of his best films, one of his most out there films, and I truly enjoy it. Number 2 is going to be A Brief History of Time. This is the Stephen Hawking film to explain this film, you feel like you're high watching it, because it takes you to a dark place within your own mind. This movie will take you from feeling like a person, that you're a part of something in this world, to literally a speck of nothing, of dust floating in the vast emptiness, space, universe, time, could do whatever. You are nothing by the end of this film. And for any of you that do, partake in the this film is a no-no. Don't watch it. Don't watch this while on that, because again, this film messes with you sober. So enhancing your own brain before watching this will probably take you to an even darker spot that you don't want to go to. This film is so smart, and it puts things in a perspective that is so understandable by anyone with it. It doesn't matter your learning level. It doesn't matter of your beliefs, your concepts. But what it does is it breaks everything down to a point where you realize that you are nothing and you feel terrible about it. So it's a great film. I highly recommend it. If you want to have a really bad rest of your night and just kind of contemplate everything about your future, this is the film. And the number 1 film is Following by Christopher Nolan. This is his first film. This is an art school film. This is the reason I love movies. This is the reason why I want to be a filmmaker. This is the reason why I love what the Criterion Collection does. This is such a raw, put together film that I love. It's short. It's interesting. The characters are great. The raw filmmaking is what makes this film feel alive. There's something about it that you can tell that greatness comes from this. Because if this is the beginning, this is the start of someone's career, their ideas and thoughts put onto the screen to later go and create movies like Inception, Interstellar, which this film heavily inspires characters and plots in other films that he does, especially heavily Inception, which you watch this film and you'll get those points there. This is an amazing film. Again, it's the reason why I love film. I don't want to say too much more. If you want an interesting, quick experience and to see the craft, the interest, the love of filmmaking, then The Following, just Following. No drop the, just like Facebook did. This is it. I love Following. I think it's Christopher Nolan's best film because it's his first film. It's this interesting, provocative piece of work. And I've used that word, twice, 3 times today? Doesn't matter. It's amazing, and I highly recommend this film. But those are the 3 films that I truly loved above everything else from the Criterion Collection in 2016. These are the films that hooked me the most, that I can't stop thinking about since I've watched them. Just absolute films that I love. Now, there are many great films on the Criterion Collection. These, again, were just 3 of them. Thank you for having me on. Again, I am Jordan from AfterEndMedia, and Stephanie, you are great. Thanks for having me on. And I'll see you later.